Well, I don't know why I kept clicking and I kept snapping it up on myself. So, um, bear with me, we'll get to bear. I'm doing it like this. Why? Oh, look, I don't know how to cut and shut. I don't know how to do any of that. Nor am I really interested. I prefer the straight off the dome, start to finish if I can, because, well, I'm not in it for clicks. I'm not here for your optics or to titillate your ears or to tantalise your eyeballs, or I'm not a grifter. I'm not in it for money or for popularity. I just want to give you intel.
Banking crisis, National Intel Bear Brief, 2nd of January 2026. It's 2nd of January in America. Banking crisis. What is the banking crisis? I don't even know if I've uploaded the video yet. I love that.
Here's what it is. Don't care.
You don't know. Here it is. What is the banking crisis that's being manufactured? Well, if you go and look for Josh Hawley and Ms. Klobuchar in the Senate hearing inquiry in the United States, where Josh Hawley explodes at her and some Visa and MasterCard lenders, financiers, because Visa and MasterCard and so forth, they're not a bank, it's a business. It's a business model. They borrow money at a reduced interest rate and then loan that money out to private lenders, like payday lenders, to banks. They lend it all over the world at a higher interest rate. So they're making money, they're making profit on huge interest rates to loans that they make all over the world on not thousands, not tens of thousands, not even hundreds of thousands, but millions and billions. Now imagine interest profit margins they're making on a credit card to a small bank at 50% interest, or to a business. Like they loan to Walmart. Visa loans money to Walmart on overdraft system at about 2%. But yet mum and pop business down the road, the bricks and mortar shop down the road on the corner, are paying up to 50% interest to the same company for a much smaller loan. Imagine the money they're making out of that, sinking businesses basically. Now in the Senate in America, they're sinking the financier industry. Why? Because that sinks all the banks. Right, I'm going to show you my bank card. Visa, National Australia Bank. Who's the carrier of those funds? Like to the EFTPOS machine? EFTPOS, there you go. Right? Yeah, of course I'm going to cover my numbers. That's how they're sinking the banks, by not sinking the banks, but by sinking the access to the money on a system that has way more ones and zeros on computers than cash reserves, even more than gold reserves. Purposely crashing the economy, in other words. So what you're seeing, it looks like people doing things for your benefit. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's how they get to own everything. Nobody can honour their mortgages and loans anymore if there is no financier corporation to the central bank. So what happens? The central bank comes in with BlackRock and Vanguard and takes everything from everybody. You'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. How will you be happy? You won't owe money anymore, but you won't own anything either. You'd be lucky if you get to stay in your own house. Stop borrowing money, people, because you're going to lose everything anyway. It's a lot of effort to go to just to lose it, isn't it? Heartbreaking. Oh. Okay, at the end of this, we'll talk about... No, we'll do it now. What's Intel? What's Intel and what's intelligence? Data collecting. Intelligence data collecting. Well, you've got United States at the moment putting a 9-level deep data collection database underneath the ballroom. Yeah, that's what's actually going on. Go and look at the Dre dossier. D with a capital T, Dre, capital D, R-E-Y, dossier. Okay, capital D, O-S-I-E-R, dossier, dossier. The Dre dossier. She's got the receipts, she's done the digging, and they're building exactly the same data centre underneath the ballroom as what they have in Jerusalem. Jerusalem's where? Say it with me now, Israel. So United States of Israel, with a little help from the boring company of Elon Musk, are putting hard cable lines underground from country to country, like, and all over America. Well, you really didn't think it was for our benefit, did you? And ease of access for us. That's how they go underground and still run the world during a hot war. Oh, never thought of that, did you? A hot war that they're all in on. I've got other videos on that you'll see, but what's Intel, you know? Notice any streets changing name lately? Have you noticed some places just seem to keep having fibre optic cables upgraded and changed and fixed, and have you noticed any internet issues lately? Have you noticed some things just won't upload? No matter how many times you try it, but everything else does? Have you noticed an influx in foreign nationals? Have you noticed an influx in people taking photos around your towns off cruise ships? Strange ones, and we'll stand in one spot and keep taking photos of the same building from slightly different angles. And I've noticed that a little while ago on the hotel at the corner of Mount Street downtown there, that where Conzi's Bottle Shop is. Someone taken, I don't know how many photos of. Have you noticed a whole bunch of new street lights going in? Do you think it's really about the street lights? Or maybe the cameras? We're being readied for war. There's all kinds of intelligence collection, data collection. People will turn up 6 months, a year prior, pretending to be tourists. And uploading videos of their travels on YouTube. Where actually what they're doing is intelligence collection. Working out what's where certain buildings are, what's actually inside of them. Are they actually on the Google Maps? Has Google Maps not been updated on purpose in certain areas, and new buildings going in, new industrial buildings that may not be building what you think they're building? A whole bunch of things. Perhaps the map that I saw with my own eyes on the bonnet of the car when I had my panel shop and was going to buy a property in Ivanhoe, where I ran my business from, in an industrial zoned area with a house on it. And one of my clients, one of my customers, was a real estate agent owner. And he advised me against it because Ivanhoe ends up with no houses. It just ends up as a military industrial base. Geez, what's going on with Elphinstons? Building tanks much? That's enough of that. Intel, people. Has to be verifiable, and you've got to be able to connect the dots so that it makes sense. Not hearsay from Ricardo Bosi. Right, let's get on with this.
AKA just another day on the calendar.
Let's try not to mess this up this time, eh? Yeah, I've been having a go. Where are we? Please go up there and don't mess me around. That's still recording. Please still be recording. Thank you. Alright. And away we go.
U.S. economy is in trouble, according to some douche from Europe. Frederick Eriksson, the European Center for International Political Economy, warns that current policies are, quote, causing high fiscal deficits and inflation, tripping themselves up, end quote. The core issue is a fiscal deficit reaching 7% of GDP, which Erickson identifies as the primary driver of persistent inflation, saying, quote, a massive fiscal deficit reaching 7% of GDP is driving up costs around the... I lost my place. Oh, who's the douche now, babe? Driving up costs of economy. This puts the Federal Reserve in an impossible position. Pressure for rate cuts continue to mount, but as long as the government runs these deficits, inflation won't budge. Even sympathetic federal officials said, quote, will find it difficult to justify rate cuts unless economic activity plummets. End quote. Listen, it doesn't matter at which data set you look at. The turmoil is inbound. Boys and gerbils. How much and when? That's where there's some variation in opinion. But man, it sure looks like within the next 12 months, it's all going to hell in a handbasket. Things are changing. Things are changing globally. Okay, demographies, the number of people that we have, and the governments and economic systems that we've built to govern the amount of people that we have. That's all changing. And resources or lack thereof, that's all changing. Leadership, that's all changing. World superpowers, that's all changing. Technology, that's all changing. Yeah, you know what? And if people couldn't survive that kind of craziness, none of us would be here. So, suck it up, Buttercup. Looks like you and me are going to have to do some hard stuff. Which may look like, have you seen? Oh, look. A musket. You ever seen one of these? It's, yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve just injected $16 billion into the banking system on December 30th through overnight repurchase agreements, the second largest liquidity operation since the COVID-19 crisis. That's what we call an indicator, and it's not a good one. December's total repo activity hit $40.32 billion, a figure that stands out even accounting for typical year-end pressures. Financial observers note this suggests problems lurking beneath the surface, with banks needing cash to cover obligations tied to commodities and collateral mismatches. Oh, you mean silver, paper silver. To be clear, the December 30 injection is on a new event on top of a pattern that's been building for months. On October 31st, the Fed lent $29.4 billion to banks overnight because there wasn't enough cash in the system. This was the biggest overnight loan in 20 years. Then the Fed followed up with $22 billion on November the 1st and another $5 billion on November the 2nd. By November the 3rd, banks had paid it all back and that balance dropped to zero, but the message was already sent. Something was off in the funding markets. Then on December 10th, the Fed made a rule change. Starting on December 11th, it would offer unlimited cash through its repo facility. Oh, that's great. Unlimited cash. You know what? Me too. Hey, we're running short on funds at my Somali daycare. $1 billion or $2 billion would be fine. It'd be fine. The International Bank of Bear Nation. Yeah, I need $1 billion too. Because if you get big enough and you don't pay your loan back, then nothing bad happens. If you get big enough and your chef mysteriously drowns in a lake behind your house, nothing bad happens. Or 276 people associated with your political career go missing, nothing bad happens. Or whatever, insert thing here. Nothing bad ever happens if you get big enough. So yeah, you know what? I don't want $2 billion. I need $200 billion for the International Bank of Bear. And then it's fine. And it's fine. And then we start the International Militia of Bear and get our letters of marque and head down to the Caribbean. And elsewhere. Probably Africa. Do a little Africa stuff. Get some of that money back from Minnesota. Okay. Avenge Gordy. rule change, unlimited cash throughout the repo facility at a fixed rate of 3.75%. What? That's actually pretty cheap money. Removing the previous limits that had been in place. This made it a lot easier for the banks to access emergency funding whenever they needed it. From December 11th through December 30th, the Fed kept offering these overnight loans, and banks used the facility regularly as year-end reporting deadlines approached. On December 22nd, the Fed stepped in with another $6.8 billion in loans to ease funding pressures as banks prepared their year-end financial statements. The official line is that this is uncommon but not unusual. The real crisis involves much larger numbers, and it's true that year-end always brings some funding pressures. Banks square up their books, but the frequency and size of these interventions still raise questions. Banks shouldn't need this much help this often if everything's running smoothly. If patterns continue into 2026, it will no longer be chalked up to seasonal pressure, but will be evidence of something more structural going wrong in the financial system. What makes the current moment especially complex is the clash between record global liquidity, which has risen by roughly $490 billion, and the Fed's insistence on keeping rates higher for longer. The Fed plans to purchase up to $220 billion in Treasury securities over the next year through what officials carefully describe as reserve management, not monetary easing. Yet the effect on the system remains the same, as it's still essentially more liquidity flooding in even as rates stay elevated. Barry, I was wearing my earbuds and that hurt my ears. Wah! Quit. Oh yeah, silver had a nice rally. Did you see it's back down to $72? Back down to $72? Bitch, I started buying silver when it was $12. Okay. Back on to national intel sent in from y'all. Barry, you're spicy this morning. And listen. The purpose of this general population channel is to give you actionable intel so you can maneuver righteously for the preservation of life, regardless of what the external stimulus may or may not be that threatens it. What? Yeah. Rewind and listen to that again. Okay? And the purpose of my Patreon channel is to teach and lead leaders for the preservation of life. As a preparedness consultancy, I'm not interested in low quality individuals. I'm not interested in people that have to be handheld. If you are not at the point now where you can self-feed and don't have to be spoon-fed, you're not going to fit in around here. If you don't like sounds, you're not going to fit in around. You're not going to survive whatever's coming. You're just not. You're going to be like Ezekiel 37, a massive valley of dry bones. Just detritus. National Intel. Send this to intel@bearindependent.com. Bear, what's the email address? Oh my. Intel@bearindependent.com. I was speaking with a close friend who owns a sand operation in the Sand Hills region of North Carolina, and I was working on a piece of equipment for him. He received an absolutely massive order for sand and silica product for a nuclear plant in South Carolina-Georgia border. He was asked to supply a portion of it, and it will be a large portion of his first part of 2026. He said it was for new construction work and new nuclear production. I called my brother, who's a consultant in the power industry at the national level. He said there is no new construction at any nuclear energy plant, but mentioned that Savannah Research Site would be doing some new things. SRS was a major manufacturer of nuclear weapons, but stopped in the early 90s and went into cleanup mode. I told you that 2 weeks ago, but thank you for the intel, because of the mouse of 2 or 3. This, combined with your intel of 50 new warheads, it's more than 50, points to SRS either potentially creating new nuclear material or upgrading established materials for new uses. Also, high silica sand in the power industry, if it is building new sites, is different than adding new lines. And suffice to say, there's a fancy type of concrete thermal backfill that we put around buried power cables because the high silica sand transmits heat well. Okay, what does that mean? It lowers the operating temperature of the I love you, daughter of Yah, thank you. Maybe I'll be less spicy now. Shall we? Holy cow, that's hot. Still spicy. Okay. In any event, you put the cable in the trench, you put this special type of concrete, thermal backfill, around with high silica sand and usually river stone and small amounts of cement, so it's diggable by hand if needed, so you can get back at the cable. What it does is it transfers heat from the cable through the backfill out the trench walls, and it lowers the operating temperature of the electrical cable, which increases its current carrying capacity, aka ampacity. So it operates at a lower temperature, which means it can carry more current, and or there are no hot spots on the line, so it doesn't burn up. So using high silica sand in the power construction industry is very common. I've done, I don't know, I couldn't even give you a number, hundreds of thousands of truckloads of it. And if they're not building a new plant, they may be adding lines to an existing plant, new circuits, or it could be going to SRS. Next, I wanted to make you aware of a trend I've noticed throughout the holiday season with delivery drivers. While it's not the best to OPSEC, my wife often uses Walmart Plus delivery for our small grocery orders, since loading the kids and venturing to the local Walmart 45 minutes away is a hassle at times. I've noticed an increase in male delivery drivers due both Walmart and the subcontractors. I've noted multiple Middle Eastern, Haitian, and West African accents. The most recent delivery I happened to be present for, and one package needed to be signed for. I met the driver, and he was a Middle Eastern man, approximately 30 to 35 years old, with obvious counterintelligence training. He was very observant of our property, and even managed to catch my hand trying to get my phone ready to photograph his license plate. He then proceeded to back out of the driveway nearly 200 feet. No one ever does this, as it is a blind curve. Stay vigilant, and I believe we'll be limiting future deliveries, and I'll be setting a camera to capture license plates that has entered the property. Fences are going up in the near future, as my newest apprentice hired for my company previously installed commercial fencing. Yeah, fences, gates, controlled access, cameras be good. All in-place obstacles should be covered with fire. Oh my gosh, Bear, what is that? Are you gonna get a suppressor now that the $200 tax stamp is gone? Suppressors, I talked about this in the Patreon live stream yesterday. Suppressors are nice to have, not need to have. They're nice to have. And if you were buying a nice to have, based upon the price point of a $200 or lack thereof fee, a tax, no, you are giving them your de facto registry information for free. The NFA should be completely repealed. It should just be gone. It should not exist. Barry, you don't own suppressors? Have you ever seen me with the suppressor on camera? But hold on, what's that on the end of that? What is that? What could that be? Yeah. Well, how'd you do that? www.google.com. I work for Redacted in North Dakota and in the oil and gas industry. Recently, we've been slammed despite the price of oil being low. We've been installing downhole pumps, ESPs, that are 500 BP, 5,000 barrels per day. When last year we only ran 2,000 barrel per day pumps. That the demand for oil is not reflecting the price, with some locations reducing 15 to 25,000 BBL of oil a day barrel. With over 10 years in the industry, I've never seen demand like this, even during the boom of 2008 to 2015 at $125 a barrel. We weren't near this busy. I've heard rumors of all of the oil is going to the strategic reserve. To add to that, a friend of mine works as a DoD civilian on the local base, and he has mentioned that they are testing the effects of EMP on Air Force weapon systems and aircraft. I told you months ago that the DoD is in the process of intentionally breaking all of their equipment with EMPs to find out what will break, what is inadequately shielded from an electromagnetic pulse, so that they will know now rather than finding out on the battlefield. Thank you for the confirmation with that. As far as the SPR, Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is concerned, how much we have and how long it will last is highly classified. I know what that number is. Suffice to say, and this is not hyperbole, I can run my homestead with my fuel reserves about 50 times longer than the United States Department of Defense can run itself on their current fuel reserves. I also told you, regardless of how many people said, Bear, that's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. You don't understand. I said we needed to capture 3 oil tankers in Venezuela, and then we were going to go hot. And when I said that, we had captured 1, and I said tomorrow, look for another one to be captured, and we did. Then I said when we hit 3, we're going to go hot. Look at the timeline of captured oil tankers, and then when ground strikes started in Venezuela. The day after we captured the 3rd one, what happened? Okay. Just listen to the Bear Brief for 26 December 25. TJ read out an intel report regarding the ecobee smart thermostats having issues following the Amazon Web Services outage. I immediately ran upstairs to see what thermostats we recently swapped out, and I still have the boxes. Sure enough, they were ecobee. I then looked at the work invoices. The issue started on 20 October and persisted until 23 October, when our HVAC company agreed to come out and remove the ecobees and install 2 non-smart Honeywell home thermostats. That said, the ecobees had intermittent issues starting as far back as 25 January. So a year ago. We got them installed in May 2024. I specifically said I did not want the smart kind, but was told this was the default now and we would have to order and pay for the other kind since they're not kept in stock. I didn't like it, but we hadn't had any other issues until this year when they started recalibrating and having issues connecting to the Wi-Fi. Each time the thermostat app, required to be installed on the phone, requested a list of permissions that included full access to our phones, including photos and contacts and other devices connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Gradually removing the smart devices from our home, including LED bulbs and Alexa. At this point, even the toaster with Bluetooth is a potential spy in our homes. Yeah, it is. Mechanical systems. We want mechanical systems. And then if we can't have purely mechanical systems, electric systems. Electrical over mechanical systems. Least preferred is electronic systems. And then if they are electronic systems, closed loop, don't touch the internet, doesn't emit, has wired systems. Back in the day, you guys, there's a whole generation of people think about this. They don't even know what IDKFA is. They never played Doom on a LAN. They never had LAN parties. What's a LAN? A local area network where we would take cables and plug them into other computers and we would make our own internet. Yeah, our own little micro internet. It's like a whole thing, man. It's a whole thing, yeah. Cat5 cable, you get some connector, you get a roll of it, you pull it out, you crimp on a connector on the end of it, make sure all the wires are lined up appropriately. And yeah, it was a whole thing. I'm a law enforcement officer in Central Texas, or a Leo. I was either born in August or a law enforcement officer in Central Texas, possibly both, about 1 in 12 chance. We have a regional airport in the county with one of the biggest collections of still working World War II aircraft. Recently, a small group of Middle Eastern men took a tour of the facility. During the tour, they recorded everything and took a lot of pictures. The tour guide spoke a small amount of Arabic and overheard them state that they would be back soon. Yep. Pre-operational intelligence. Zofran Mandami, which sounds like a delicious rice dish, probably with some curry and lamb in it. It's been inaugurated, sworn in on the Quran in New York City. At this point, okay, Babel has fallen. Whatever. If you live in New York, get out. Just get out. The video that went up on Patreon yesterday was the 3 regions based upon a really smart DOD sub-agency's assessment. The 3 regions that survived capitulation. What's capitulation? That means that the air quote leadership of this country will give it away in the next conflict. And I go deep on that on Patreon. But what are the 3 regions? Watch the Everything Everywhere All at Once video. Hear Gen Pop on YouTube. Watch the Going to War with China video. Hear Gen Pop on YouTube. Or watch it over on Patreon. The $10 tier is still there. Next week, I am reorganizing the tiers on Patreon. So, I said the $10 tiers go. Yeah, go watch it. I recorded it and I'm having trouble uploading it. I think I might have a copy of it uploaded on here. Go watch it and then think again about me trying to yell from the top of the mountains that we are going to be caught between the hammer and the anvil as a proxy war like Ukraine 2.0. Going away in January. It's January. Next week I'm reorganizing those tiers. So you can still get into the $10 level and then be grandfathered when I reorganize the tiers. Secondly, leaning on your brief from 26 December 25, our CAD system, computer-aided drawing system, is also going down almost daily at this point. Also of note, we've had a massive increase in fraud related to calls, people losing tens of thousands of dollars from scams and other fraudulent activity. This is no longer just affecting the elderly, but anyone with a bank account. Facts. Next, we received this from our primary vendor last week. AI-driven significant price increases on PCs, laptops, anything using RAM, random access memory, and of course RAM itself. This was forwarded us from Hewlett Packard. Blah, 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 blah. Analysts predict this demand will continue to outpace global supply through 2026. HP is continuously monitoring the situation and working on mitigating the impact for our customers and partners. Thank you for understanding. Goes back to high silica sand, doesn't it? That's the show for today. I appreciate you, boys and girls, very much. Current assessment, 30% likelihood, everything everywhere all at once by 2027. 70% assessment, that means there's 70% assessment that is not everything everywhere all at once by 2027. There might be a few things, not necessarily everywhere and not all at once. It may be nothing. I'm not getting the nothing vibe, boys and girls, and I'm here to tell you it's 2026, new year, new me, right? We need to aggressively be doing the things on both fronts. On the 30% chance that it goes to hell in a handbasket and we got to use these rifles and eat these beans and rice that we put in buckets, you need to aggressively be preparing for that. You also need to be aggressively attacking every opportunity that presents itself in the 70% likelihood that it doesn't all go to shit. because the gap in between the haves and the have-nots is widening, and it's widening fast, and it's only going to get worse with AI. So whatever maneuvering you need to be doing in 2026, you need to do it. Like, fully commit yourself, develop a plan, execute the plan daily, and get it done, boys and girls, because it's foot on the accelerator time. With that, if there's anything we can help you with, refugemedical.com, the world's preeminent pre-hospital trauma medicine provider, both equipment, components, and information, in-person or remote training. We have all of that. refugemedical.com. Use promo code BearNation to save you, I think, 10% at the store. Why only 10%, Bear? The economy's terrible. Well, see, we make stuff in America. We pay Americans a living wage, and we guarantee our products forever, and 164 people are still alive because I don't make price point bullshit. I make kits that have to work, because if they don't work, people will die. And so we don't compromise on anything. Not a single stitch, not a single component, none of it. We don't let wrong leave our shop. We have bins full of seconds, right? That the SO team rejected. I look through there. I can't find a single thing wrong with it, but the SO team said no. Okay. I trust them. I believe them. Okay? Because if you ever have to use it for real, it better fucking work. And that's why we make these. Okay? So whatever you need, whether it's a piece of gauze, an individual first aid kit, a surgical suite, wound care buckets, surgical buckets, birthing buckets, postpartum buckets, and burn buckets. You need to build your prepper scale field hospital. The buckets are the way to go. Or anything else that you need. Stomp bags, SEAL Team Operational Medical Packs, field hospitals, whatever you need. Holler at us, visit the website, call the store, or use the chat function on the website. That's run by people, not artificial intelligence, and that's done very intentionally. With that, thank you all for being here.
Let's see if I can do this without bloody cutting it all off again. It's a lot of effort. When you're running a 2-bit production with invaluable intel, you can compromise on some things, so long as the intel's good. Extreme times, well, no such thing. Time never changes. But our environment changes, our social structure changes, our community demographics change, and international, national and local economics fluctuate up and down. Hostilities come and go. So, situational preparedness is, intel. You can't be prepared for anything that comes if you're not looking around to see what's coming. And during extreme periods in our life, I'm not going to say times, because time never changes. It's lunchtime, it's dinner time, it's time to do shit. It's time to not do shit. It's time to get some sleep. And I watched a fair bit of Bear, and he's right on a lot of things. There's a lot of things, he's right on everything. I can't fault him. What I can verify is things that line up with things that my grandfather taught me, who did the things in extreme conflict times. We're talking late 30s to early mid 40s, when pew pew was actually boom boom bang bang. And Intel wasn't so much digital as it was boots on the ground, trying to fit in a country where you didn't come from. It's probably why I'm so situationally aware of seeing it. I see it a lot. That street artist from another country. What do you think she is down there actually doing that art? Why do they need to take so many pictures of something they're sitting there sketching with a piece of charcoal? Just saying. But during periods of extremities, extreme measures need to be taken. The problem is with that is you need to perpetuate normalcy for the people you love and yourself as much as you can so you don't lose your mind. Learn some shit. Baking bread. Little things. Knowing how to do things is far more important than having the things. Do I need a firearm? Depends on the situation, doesn't it? I can say I hope not. But at this point, I better hope not. Why? Because the police have got it again. Why? Because they're useful idiots. Speaking of the useful idiots, there they go, a whole bunch of them in one car, driving around, harassing people. Now they got bunches of them in the car running around with little magnetic, electromagnetic fairy wands to see if anybody's carrying anything. Just quickly on that. Whoever was caught with a pair of scissors on New Year's Eve, oh, shock horror. Somebody had something to cut their pot up with. Do you reckon he threw his pot away and didn't throw his scissors away? Did they check the scissors to see if there was any green vegetable matter and resin stuck to the blades? Okay, just because someone's got a pair of scissors doesn't mean they're going to stab somebody. Maybe they went to borrow a pair off somebody up the road because they don't have any. But what? Maybe they need to cut something. It's the mentality of the police nowadays is pretty fucking ordinary. If anything, they're more of a nuisance and a problem to our perpetuation of living a normal life. They're getting in the way of normalcy. Our communities and societies are going fucking troppo. They're fucking off their heads. The new normal ain't very normal, is it? Because even the old normal was a bit out there. But anyway, that's the Bear and Day Brief, brought to you by 2-Bit Production, Fluff Tube, and the intergalactic web of data retention, and everyone's personal intel farming. God bless.